now with this new nerf, we're going to see some changes in gameplay. So I'm excited to see how this ends up playing out.
And overall, the entirety of the new season is completely changing up everything. POIs getting removed, weapons being removed, things being added back, new things being added as we see Fearful unfortunately going to go down. Maybe some fall damage occurred there, so unfortunate there's. Now we're on board with builds B2 and Splash. They look like they're landing a little bit of a scavenger route up here. Maybe not where they wanted to land, as Bills is landing really short. Probably going up there for that chest, and then they're going to grab all this loot all around here. But again, these bunker chests were added, and they're so powerful. A guaranteed legendary or epic weapon out of them, and guaranteed heals as well. You put yourself in such a good spot if you're able to secure them. They're not 100% chest spawn rate on those as well, so it is not guaranteed. But if you get one, you put yourself in a great spot.
Putting yourself in a great spot indeed, especially considering a majority of the time you have a power weapon in the rocket launcher that ends up dropping. So being able to see people take advantage of those chests is going to be a big part of today's games, especially as we dive in here at Pleasant Park. You see Knifer in the distance here, and it looks like as a trio, they may have this drop to themselves. So this is going to be a great start. You all know at home, when you have that uncontested drop spot and you don't have to worry about any kind of additional factors, you're definitely going to be walking away on top.
And the great thing about Pleasant Park is there's actually 2 bunker chest spawns right nearby it.
Wow.
In the northwest corner, you can get 2 of them. And if they both spawn, that's guaranteed power weapons for your team. And now we get to go through some of the new POIs. Bony Burbs, replacing what was Salty Towers, a combo of Tilted and Salty. Still got the Slurp Tricks nearby, so still very powerful. This is the first time we've seen today a team disengage. We saw all day Hart and his team were contesting another team landing there time and time again. Now, disengaging, going for that Slurp Trick, that's honestly how I would play the POI. Grab whatever loot I can, disengage, grab those Slurp Trucks, make sure I'm at 100, and deny anybody else the opportunity to do so. Now on board with Captain's team as they're taking out one of the Spire Guardians here. It will pick up that epic primal rifle, put it in Captain's inventory. This is a great spot to land as well. I was wondering who was going to be landing at the Spire. It's Chaotic, Nut, and Nosh.
Yeah, and this is a trio that is well known for their ability to take advantage of POIs. And I'll say this, right? Obviously, leading into today's, or leading into this week's nerf, or before the nerf, I should say, to the Primal Shotgun, this would be a power drop to say the least. Now with the nerf, at least balancing it a little bit, the Mythic Primal Shotgun is just not going to be as effective. So if you're playing solely for that, that might not be the drop to go anymore. However, there is still tons of loot located there in the Spire that can provide additional benefits to your team. Now, though, looking at another split here, you see it's actually over here at the Shark and Coral. We've seen a lot of teams start to take advantage of this in the last season or so, and that just kind of speaks to the fact of that POI, right? There's so much potential to get everything you need for a game in that split.
A great POI. I love landing there as well. Now over to one of my other favorite POIs, Stealthy Stronghold. We've got Elsa Twist on a high ground there, reduces Berserker and Brutal down below. The harpoon was being used in a disengage from Elsa, and I love this. I love that they're committing to this theme of them being this Disney princess, right? But they've got to be careful as they're getting sprayed from behind. Only 1 build remaining for Elsa, and unfortunately, they do not want to let it go right now. They got to disengage. They have to get out, and if they don't, they're going to go down. Whoppers have been thrown, but they don't have a lot of heals. They're going to have to make a stand here. Berserker trying to go just that. The builds will come through from Ethon, but they're running out of time. They're running out of options. They're running out of space as well. The shots come through. Elsa, it's a big tag, but no. Brutal gonna take him down. Ethom gonna go down as well. Only Berserker left to get that Elim onto Twist, and they do. Brutal will fall, but the revive will come through. But look, it's Coop and Tabs and Knifer coming on in.
Yeah, you see them in the distance there for a moment, as they could potentially end up third-partying that engagement. Though the focus here now is on Weeping Woods, as you see Twix just holding the high ground here with these other players down below. You see it's actually AV and High Sky right down there in the building just underneath them. Looking to try and take any kind of additional damage off these players is going to be super important at this point. Now you see Styx is back with his teammates, while Twix, it looks like, is alone potentially. The rest of his team is a little bit more split here as Crisp does arrive here on the house. So one of his other teammates is still going to be in the distance. So if they're not careful, they could end up getting a bad start in an engagement like this when they aren't all together. So it's going to be super, super important here for them to get together and work as a team if they want to walk out of Weeping Woods.
The bad part about being together right now, based on this inventory from Milk, is that when you're together and they have gas cans, it is not the play to be, especially in Weeping where it's all wood. It'll burn so quickly. You've got to be really careful. Styx is down below, breaking out. High Sky and AV trying to go for the high ground, but AV very low, has to be careful about taking any sort of tags, and he does. And now they know, hey, this player's wide, we can go on to him. High Sky trying to make something happen, but has to back on down. AV kind of has been sent to just say, hey, you're going to be there. They're going to focus you. You got to make the play. And now everyone just kind of stalling out. No one wants to make that first move, even though they have the advantage here.
Yeah, you know, it's actually kind of surprising, right? Like, obviously, we know these players are high caliber. They know what they're doing in a situation like this. But I'm a little surprised that neither are attempting to really engage with one another. It does look like that team on top of the high ground there is just attempting to hold Styx, AV, and High Sky in their position. But guess what? If you're just going to sit here the whole entire game, you end up putting yourself in a disadvantage. Looking at High Sky's inventory, this is a perfect example, right? With only 15, now 16 builds in the inventory, you're not in a good spot. So if you don't disengage and find a way to completely start looting up again, you end up putting yourself in a compromising position here for the mid and late game.
And now over to Knifer's perspective, Tabs and Coop. They did come in and get the third party there, but Brutal was actually able to sneak away into Stealthy to disengage. And look at the difference between finishing your fight very fast and finishing your fight quickly, as High Sky is going to go down. I thought it was going to be AV going down first, but now we do see that come through. It was High Sky Styx trying to just lurk around a third party coming through. He doesn't want to be seen. He's got the To The Moon back bling on, but I don't know if this game is going there for them. And a disengage, actually, that team going to go aggressive. He can go for the reboot cards if they're where they need to be, right? They need to be back here by this fight, not right where they are. But it doesn't seem that way, Panda. Unfortunately, it looks like Milk, Twix, and Crisp are going to come back. Are they going to find him, though? Are they going to see him? No way, no way!
Oh, man, and there it is. That was end of Styx's game. Very unfortunate scenario, and sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, right? If you're not careful, especially as a solo player, and you lose your teammates like that, unfortunately, you're going to result right back in the lobby with your teammates. Though now, Strep trying to take advantage here, as this team that was once engaging them is now getting pushed. So if they are careful and they play this right, they should be able to rotate here around Pub, as Phantom now needs to be picked up, and he does. Now the focus here for Phantom and his trio is going to be to heal up and try to get back in this fight, because the last thing they want to have to deal with is being down a player, especially when you're going up against people like Summer Rae, Strep, and Gandhi. This trio showing that they already have an elimination on the board and they're ready to put some more.
This season's so hard to close the gap, though. There's nothing really to get you in unless you're carrying 10, 12 peppers on you. You get that knock, and it's great. We can't really get in time to really get the damage off to secure that elimination. So even if they wanted to, I don't think they could have gotten in quick enough, as they're trying to just farm up any sort of extra mats there. Serbs putting some damage back. Knifer is going to get another elimination there. Getting a knock will more than likely be confirmed, as Zuni's and Impin going in very aggressive. Not with Aspect this time around, but with Polarize. As Zuni's going to take down very low, unfortunately down 10 HP. Impin losing all of his shield as well, has to back up. Polarize going to be forced to build for them. They are going to be able to pop the shields, but taking off, being a little bit too more aggressive, biting off more than they can chew. They do back up. There was that third party, and now I think they're just going to continue to disengage.
Yeah, which is definitely the smart move in this moment, especially considering we saw Zuni's inventory, right? He was taking his last bit of shield so far in those moments. So if he's not careful and takes some more damage, he won't be able to heal up. And that's the last thing you want to do at this point in the game. You want to make sure that you are stacked, ready to go for that late game. And unfortunately, they're suffering from a bit of that mid-game distress, especially considering they don't have any additional shields. Now, though, you see Builds just trying to take some shots in the distance as another player there is stacked up on top of the Spire. The Spire having such a nice high ground point there, and really a significant advantage for any of these other POIs that are down low, because guess what? You know high ground is king. We've seen it with Zayt, and now we see it here with this team on the Spire.
And even though there's zip lines up there, you don't want to be caught rotating on a zip line that late. You really, with the way the angles work and the zip lines work this season, if you take a zip line, you are desperate. You are in shambles. You have to try to find something. And unfortunately, I hope we don't see that. I really don't. I mean, you get to see X and B in this game as well. I know a community favorite there. Just always kind of want to see X and B pop off, as now we get the chance to move over to Captain E, Ketsui, and Virus. As unfortunately, Virus does go down. Not what you want to see off of game number 1, but it's okay because it is game number 1. As Ved trying to get some damage off onto Captain E. No shot's going to hit on either of them. And they've got a pretty decent rotation. And luckily, when you're down a teammate or you're down 2 teammates, you always want to be above Storm Surge, and they are.
Yeah, they are very fortunate in that regard, considering they are down a teammate. And honestly, look, this is game number 1, right? This is where you can make those mistakes and then start to adjust and change up the game plan once you go into game number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because guess what? There are 6 games in heat number 2 here today, and there's so much potential for these players to come out on top. Now, though, you look Magic on the high ground here, located just in the middle of Weeping Woods, and they're going for their Storm Surge tags. You see Storm Surge is active as of right now, and once that third zone pops, it's going to start ticking away. So they need to get some more damage here as they've started. They're still 13 damage below the threshold, so if they're not careful, they're going to end up in a compromising position, to say the least. Now, though, Hydra's over here on the bridge, and it looks like they're going to go and push this team that's right over the bridge here. And if they're not careful, it does look like another team is trying to take shots at them, and they could end up going back to the lobby with some of these other players.
And they have no choice. 87 below. So Gas King comes out. They have to go in. They're trying to get in. Krusty trying to make sure nothing happens there. Tico as well, trying to just stay alive, take no damage. But damage does come through. It's still not going to be enough. They've got to get in. They have to go 11 below, and a bow shot going to come through. That or an AR beam. Either one is going to be enough to knock down that player. Unfortunately, looks like they are going to be picked up for Tabs and Koopas. The damage from them is absolutely insane. Hydres will get knocked. Knifer going to be the one to do it. He puts down the damage. It is a bow. It is an AR. It doesn't matter because he is down. His teammate more than likely, I was going to say not going to be able to pick him up, but they do. And in all honesty, I don't know if I pick him up there. I focus on that Storm Surge because they're two below, 21 below, 2 below, 21 below. They're doing damage, and it's not enough. David is going to go down as well, so picking him up is not worth it in the end. Still 21 below. They have to go, but this team is going to know that they have been hit. Nice damage there. They're above for 4, but they can't stop. That is not enough. You have to keep going.
You have to keep going indeed, because guess what? If you're not above that threshold, and it can very closely switch up. If you're not above that threshold, you are in a compromising position, because then not only do you have to worry about the players on the other side of the wall, you're definitely going to have to worry about the Storm Surge, and that thing will start ticking away, as you just saw, as they lost one of their teammates. Now, though, you see Coop actually looks like boxing up his knock down below. So now Coop and Tabs just getting involved. They know there's so many players congested here on the bridge, and they want to take advantage of it. Now, though, you see Krusty and Kippets just trying to rotate away from this. The last thing they want to deal with here in the mid-game is an engagement that they don't have any advantages in, especially considering Tico here only has 53 builds left in the inventory. They're going to need some kind of refresh here very, very soon, or they're going to have a pretty rough end game.
As they look for the tags on to Coop and company. Coop take a lot of damage, being a lot more aggressive than they would have wanted in this mid game. More than likely going to be able to heal it up, though. If not, they'll find an impact elimination as we get to move through Krusty's teammates. See what kind of loadout they have in their inventory. Legendary AR here, legendary pump shotgun as well. Looking really good. We've got Fatch, Hamstu, and Carry right there in the middle. Strep, Gandhi, and Summer Rae able to make it all the way in. Gandhi and company as well. Nosh going to take down Props. Again, Once this zone closes, we're going to have another instance of Storm Surge start to show up. It won't activate until that half in, half out, but 17 players need to go down before that happens. We move over to Ritual and their team to see what they're working with. Loadouts look not good. They only have this uncommon variant of this shotgun and the AR. And I'm going to assume it goes the same for everyone around. I haven't heard that pump shotgun come out. And you see the blue makeshift right there on the ground because they just don't have the mechanical parts to upgrade it.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about this season, right? Is that if you get the mechanical parts, you get the bones, you can end up upgrading or side grading those weapons from anywhere, right? Especially considering the difference when it comes to the epic variant of the pump shotgun versus the green pump that we see in their inventory. But unfortunately, if you just don't have the mechanical parts, you can't make something happen. And this is a team that's going to actually have to make something happen here, as Tico and Krusty are just getting pressured from every single angle. You see the loadout is amazing. They have exactly the tools needed to go into a later game and be successful. However, you do see, like we mentioned before, the material is dwindling. If they do not get some kind of refresh here on the materials, they're going to be struggling here in the later part of the mid game and into the late game. Now though, Shadis just looking to hold control here of this area, and I gotta say, this is an interesting example of what you have to do when you don't have mechanical parts, right? You see Shadis with the makeshift pump shock or the makeshift shotgun in hand, and it is not ideal, obviously, to have in this scenario. However, you have to make do with what you got, and it looks like that's what Shadis has.
And we saw two Elims go over towards Zunies. They're able to grab X and B and one other Fish, trying to stay alive, but that gas can gonna blow it up, and Fish gonna get blown up once more. Vantam and Pub trying to do it. Polarized trying to be a bit of a loot goblin there with Zunies. They're allowed to. Building out ahead. They should be good to go. Grab all the loot that they can and get into zone. OMG Me Too right there in the middle is in the zone. Strep and Gandhi in the game with Summer. They're here. And I say in the game because look, 300 damage above. They've got good loot. They've got a harpoon on Summer as well. Look at that. The epic primal AR as well on Gandhi. This is all great for them. But if zone doesn't pull their way, for example, if zone pulls towards that northwest side, they're going to have a very hard rotate. Aminish, though, is going to find Gonzo right out in the open of their builds. Unfortunately, not where they wanted to. Now has to make sure that he breaks out that floor so he doesn't get edited down. Snake and Stinky on the team as well. They get that Elim, but they're not able to grab the loot as quickly as they wanted to. Had to be edited down just a little bit. Put some up above Storm Surge even more. And me and Reese talked about this. This epic revolver, even the legendary ones, as we do see actually Inpin and Polarized go down, that revolver is so powerful.
Yeah, it is indeed, right? The revolver is one of those power weapons that are being underutilized I've seen in this season, right? We've watched a lot of games coming to this point. We've watched the scrims. We've watched other players decide what their loadout's going to be in a very, very different season like this. And now we're finally starting to see more players take advantage of that revolver because there's so much potential there. Now, though, it looks like Build's struggling to have the loadout he's looking for, is now going to be hit by the Storm Surge. If he's not careful, this is going to put him in a position he doesn't want to be in. As you see, though, he does take some shots there at Summer Rae, but it's not going to be enough. As Storm Surge continues to tick off his health, he continues just trying to put the minis on as he is 62 damage below the threshold. He needs to dive in here. He needs to get some of that damage off, or he's going to be stuck back in the lobby.
1 damage above. Now all of a sudden 187 above, but now below as well. Fluger and company below as well. 209 damage, trying to out heal it with the meat. Just trying to grab a little bit of a snack, but you at that point have to go in. There's no one nearby though. That's the question, is who are they going to go in on? As Builds and company now very far above. They did a lot of damage and looking good with the zone as well. Zuni's gonna rotate over there. Coop and Tab's going to rotate over as well. Glacier is actually going to be knocked. Domo rotating through there as well. Unfortunately, Scat looks like they are going to be very, very low HP. About 1 HP. Trying to make that rotation is going to be very hard. And it's none other than Chaotic, Nut, and Naj, who land at the Spire, are going to be on high ground. But look at that RPG that just got sent Beast's way.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're Nosh, Chaotic, and Nut, you are loving this zone. Not having to rotate very far is going to obviously give you great advantages here in this game. And you see Nosh just taking advantage of it. Other players beginning to rotate towards them as they take those shots, successfully getting some damage off of some players there. And then you see Shadis and Dab just hanging out here as they work together. Because guess what? It does not look like they had a teammate throughout this game, so they just need to play this cautiously and effectively if they want to have a good rotation, because this is it, folks. We're in the 6th zone. This is a big moving zone here, and if you're not careful, just like that, you'll get tagged up as Builds is 9 HP in a dream, and the focus is on him.
And he doesn't actually have a lot of builds in the inventory, only 10 there. Getting sprayed by both teams. It's just a matter of who is going to pick them up, and they do end up falling. It's going to be Krusty taking down Builds, and this is going to actually be Germesteins and Faze GG. Now, a really big throwback here. This is 2/3 of the original RBK roster with Germ and Steens. They only need Ando to add back to this, and it'd be the OG RBK days. You can see what Germ and Steens are able to do, though, on the low ground. Definitely want to stay at. You see him clearing out this entire area. They don't want anybody to have a shot at them. They want to play low ground, and that's what they're committed to over to Strep and Summer, as Gandhi does end up, actually, I was gonna say goes down, but he's just 1 HP, 51 HP there. Wilt 52 now pops some floppers back into it. They go, and now high ground continues to be dominated by Nut and company.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this, right? When Nosh, Nut, and Chaotic have the high ground, and if they can hold it effectively, they have the best potential here to win this game. So we will see exactly what happens as it unfolds, but you see Beef getting some nice knocks here as the zone starts to pull away. He needs to focus on getting that refresh and just making his way back. Now, though, you see so many players in the distance doing the same thing. He does get another elimination on one of those knocks there, so he just keeps on pressing forward. There are so many players on the layers just below, and if he's not careful, they'll be the next team focused here by Chaotic.
And luckily for them, though, they do have that RPG in the inventory. Crazy GG, though, is going to go down. Termza now falling as well. Priyan just trying to make their way through the low ground. 1 build remaining. We'll grab an extra one as well. Medkit going to be picked up. What can they find, though? That is the question. We get a nice hand shot. We get to see what exactly is happening. Aminish still in this game. Steen still in this game, but his teammates did go down. Nick has the Elims right on top of him. Summer Rae going to go down. Gandhi going to go down as well. Only 1 player remaining. As Nick will get those eliminations, but not a lot of loot to work with. Chaotic dropping on down. It doesn't even matter. They have the high ground, but they want the eliminations. Going back in. Chaotic trying to get in. Doesn't really have the ability to. Does end up getting that Elim. His teammate on the other side. They pick up the loot. No pump shotgun there for Chaotic. Will be stuck with the makeshift. They have the RPGs. They grab the mats. That's all they wanted. Elims and mats. Sparebow now going to fall as well. Nick FN will go down to Nosh. Look at the amount of eliminations. 7 on the high ground. Steens is going to go down. I think in top 7, top 8 placement there for them will be great, but how many Elims do they get? Shades falling as well. Thatch goes down in the meantime. Knifer still on the low ground trying to make it happen for Coop and Tabs as Pub unfortunately go down. This is not a Pub game. Not going to be the same. You got to play even better, even quicker, even faster. And Pose was trying to go for this med kit, thought about it. It's going to be blocked off here. This team in the box is going to keep him in the zone. Shots come through. He's somehow going to make it through. Does get a knock there on the Pub, but unfortunately going to go down. What a big knock, as it looks like high ground is just going to reign supreme. Nut going to take down Phantom, and they are just going down 1 by 1. High ground once again will reign supreme.
Yeah, these are the final moments, folks, as Nut holds the high ground. He throws the gas can down. It looks like he's going to go for one of those plays that we love to see as he puts all the buildings on fire. But no, he takes a big shot here by this other player. If he's not careful, he can get knocked fairly quickly. And there it is. It is a 2v2 situation as the shots are coming out. Nosh looking for that final player, and he's going to find him. He goes down, and the victory royale goes to Chaotic, Nut, and Nosh.
A beautiful 12 elimination victory royale, but we got to talk about how Knifer survived until that very end game by himself, able to make plays happen. Absolutely insane gameplay all around. But of course, we saw the zone go towards Aspire, and of course, we